Tonight's bedtime story is a Christmas storytelling of the Elves and the Shoemaker. Are you comfy? Snuggle down underneath your covers and get ready to laugh your socks off in the wonderful town of Northampton. Follow the jolly shoemaker, Mr. Merrysoles, in this Christmas story as he teams up with Santa's mischievous elves to create shoes that make reindeer breakdance and sleigh bells hit their high notes. With customers stumbling and tumbling, and a trap gone hilariously wrong, this comical Christmas tale will have you in stitches and jingling all the way. Make your pillow fluffy so it feels like a cloud. Relax. And rest your head. Now close your eyes. Are you ready? Then I will begin. Once upon a Christmas Eve, in the bustling town of Northampton, there lived a jolly shoemaker named Mr. Merrysoles. His little shop was filled with twinkling lights, and the air was always filled with laughter and merriment. Mr. Merrysoles had a special knack for crafting shoes that brought joy to the hearts of all who wore them. However, times were tough for the shoemaker, and he had so little leather that he could only manage to make a single pair of shoes. But Mr. Merrysoles never let that dampen his spirits. With a twinkle in his eye and a spring in his step, he danced around his workshop, humming cheerful tunes and cracking jokes that would make even the grumpiest snowman chuckle. One fateful evening, with his heart full of hope, Mr. Merrysoles placed the unfinished pair of shoes on his workbench and exclaimed, "Well, well, well! I've got just enough leather to make one pair of shoes. But who knows? Maybe Santa's elves will lend me a hand." With a chuckle, he kissed his wife, Mrs. Merrysoles, goodnight and headed to bed, humming a merry tune. Little did he know that a Christmas miracle was about to unfold. The next morning, as the sun's rays painted the sky with shades of gold and tangerine, Mr. Merrysoles awoke and said his prayers. With a sparkle in his eyes, he rushed to his workshop, and there, sitting on his workbench, were the most splendid pair of shoes he had ever laid eyes on. They shone like stars, ready to sprinkle magic with every step. Jumping jingle bells! Mr. Merrysoles exclaimed, doing a joyful little jig. Looks like Santa's elves didn't disappoint. Just as he marveled at the magnificent shoes, a customer stepped into the shop. The customer's eyes widened with wonder at the sight of the twinkling footwear. Goodness gracious! I must have those shoes for my Christmas party. I'll pay double the price if you'll part with them. Mr. Merrysoles couldn't help but burst into laughter. Ho ho ho! You've got yourself a deal, my friend. But I must warn you, these shoes are known to make reindeer dance and sleigh bells sing. With a wink and a nod, the customer happily paid the generous sum and danced out of the shop, singing carols all the way. Overwhelmed with joy and gratitude, Mr. Merrysoles couldn't contain his excitement. He rushed to the market, skipping and twirling through the snowy streets, as he bought the finest leather Northampton had to offer. Back in his workshop, he lovingly cut the leather, envisioning the magical creations that would soon come to life. Once again, he left the materials on his workbench, praying for another Christmas miracle. And lo and behold, as the moon cast its soft glow upon the town, the mischievous Christmas elves paid a visit to Mr. Merrysoles' shop. With their pointy hats and rosy cheeks, they giggled and whispered secret jokes among themselves as they crafted the shoes. But these elves had a mischievous streak. They couldn't resist adding a touch of Christmas whimsy to each pair. One shoe had a tiny hidden sleigh, while another had a gingerbread man peeking out from the heel. They even placed jingle bells inside the soles, so that with every step, it sounded like a magical sleigh ride. The next morning, as Mr. Merrysoles eagerly entered his workshop, his eyes twinkled with delight. "Goodness gracious, look at these marvels," he exclaimed, inspecting each pair with glee. "The elves sure know how to make shoes that jingle all the way." As the days turned into weeks, the shoemaker's reputation grew far and wide. People couldn't resist the charm and cheer that radiated from Mr. Merrysoles' shoes. Customers flocked to his shop, drawn by the magic of the Christmas creations and the laughter that filled the air. One evening, a few days before Christmas, Mrs. Merrysoles turned to her husband with a mischievous grin. "Darling," she said, her eyes sparkling, "why don't we catch those sneaky little elves in the act? I'd love to see the jig they dance when they finish their work." Mr. Merrysoles laughed heartily, his belly shaking like a bowl full of jelly. "My dear, you've got a grand idea. Let's set a trap and catch those merry mischief makers red-handed." That night, the couple hid behind a stack of shoeboxes, armed with tinsel and giggles. As the clock struck midnight, the room filled with a twinkle of magic. The elves appeared, their faces beaming with joy as they went about their work. But Mrs. Merrysoles couldn't resist a clever quip. She whispered, "Don't forget to add an extra sprinkle of magic. We wouldn't want these shoes to give people 2 left feet." Unbeknownst to the couple, the mischievous elves took her words quite literally. In their excitement, they mixed up the left and right shoes, leaving the shoemaker's shop filled with pairs that would make even the most coordinated dancer stumble. With a flurry of laughter, the couple revealed themselves, clapping their hands and sharing in the elves' mirth. The tiny creatures danced and twirled, their hats askew, jingle bells ringing, and Mr. Merrysoles couldn't help but join in the merry revelry. As the night ended, the elves slipped away into the wintry night, leaving behind a trail of laughter and a shop filled with delightfully whimsical shoes. From that day forward, the shoemaker's shop thrived. The town of Northampton buzzed with excitement and laughter, as people wore Mr. Merrysoles' shoes that brought cheer to their hearts. And every Christmas, as the snowflakes fell gently from the sky, the tale of the jolly shoemaker and his mischievous elves would be whispered around firesides, filling homes with warmth and joy. So, my little ones, as you slip on your festive footwear and listen to the tinkling of jingle bells, remember the story of Mr. Merrysoles, the shoemaker who brought laughter and magic to the world, one pair of shoes at a time. The town's reputation for extraordinary shoes continued to grow, and children delighted in the tale of the invisible helpers who brought joy and prosperity to those in need. And now, may your Christmases be filled with love, laughter, and shoes that make you dance with delight and jingle all the way. And that is the end of tonight's story. May your dreams bring the magic of Christmas, and may your hearts be filled with festive joy. Night night. Sleep tight.